Hi there, I'm Claudia and welcome to my multilingual channel. I know that I'm kind of late for this whole 2023 language goals party, but I wanted to make this video anyway, and I hope that it will be as much fun for you as it is for me. And the first thing that you need to do when you want to set your language goals is to actually assess your language level. Because if you don't know your language level, it will be hard to set realistic goals for the upcoming year or months or another period of time in which you want to learn the language of your choosing. So when I tried to assess my current languages level, I didn't really take any professional tests. I just kind of did a little bit of self-reflecting on the topic, and I tried to assess my abilities in language in 4 categories. And if you are a more dedicated language learner, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's the most simple division that you can make in assessing your language abilities. And first of all, we have listening abilities, reading abilities, speaking, and writing abilities. So the 4 main categories which I will be referring throughout this video are listening, reading, speaking, and writing. So without further ado, let's jump into the language goals. So my first target language is Korean. And Korean is and has been the most important language in my whole life. And it will probably stay this way all along. So to give you an idea of what level of Korean I'm at right now, I will quickly walk through all the categories that I said at the beginning of this video. So, first of all, we have listening. And listening is basically my absolute strongest skill in terms of Korean learning. And I would say that I'm at C1 level. But I wouldn't say it's like a very strong C1. I would rather say that it's a very strong B2. So when it comes to listening, I would place myself somewhere at 1/3 or somewhere in the middle of C1 level, if you get what I mean. So it means that my listening skills are usually far better than like an upper intermediate skills and more advanced, but not that advanced to feel like a native speaker. So I would say that my listening skills in Korean are somewhere in the C1 span, but not like a very strong and definite C1, if you get what I mean. And to give you an example of my listening skills in Korean, let's say I'm watching a Korean drama. If I'm watching the usual like rom-com stuff, I can usually understand like 97% or sometimes even 100% of a rom-com, even without subtitles. Sometimes it's like maybe 95%, sometimes it may be 97%, sometimes it may be 100, but it depends on the type of drama. So depending on the type of drama that I'm watching, I usually get from 90 to let's say 97 or 8% of what they're saying. But on the other hand, when it comes to dramas that have a lot of more specific vocabulary like medical drama or law drama or criminal drama, or like a more strict business kind of drama. So I would say that in this kind of dramas I have a big difficulty with understanding concepts that they are showing in the dramas. You know, like all these things connected with law or medicine or business, marketing, and so on, so on. You know, like I get some part of it, but you know, like a very, very basic things. And I would say that basically the most difficult type of content and type of drama for me would be a medical one, because it involves a lot of vocabulary that is strictly connected to a certain knowledge in medicine, even if it requires, let's say, more basic knowledge and not like knowledge of real life doctors or nurses or medical staff, but it still requires some amount of knowledge in medicine. So that's what makes these dramas very difficult for me to understand. When they show them scenes connected with medicine, if they show other scenes, it's like I'm good to go, I can watch it without subtitles. But when they show the stuff that is strictly connected with medicine, I'm totally lost. So, you know, even if I'm watching these dramas with subtitles, I'm still like, I'm lost, and I kind of don't know what have just happened, because I don't really understand the concepts, like the medical concepts that they are talking about. If you like to watch medical dramas, as I do, please let me know if you have any kind of tricks to better understand the content that you are watching and still make it enjoyable for you. So moving on to the next set of skills, which is reading. For my reading in Korean, I would say I'm at a B2 level. The reason why it's lower than my listening skills is because I actually don't really read a lot, and I didn't really read a lot during my Korean learning journey. And to be a little bit more clear, I wanted to tell you what I mean by B2 level in this case. I mean that I can basically read through some articles on Naver or Wikipedia in Korean, or you know, like I can easily, or rather easily, read through the textbooks from basic level to quite advanced level, but it basically depends on the topics. And I'm quite good at reading comprehension when I read the articles about culture or history, or basically the topics that interest me and that I have a little bit more knowledge in that areas. So basically I can read articles that are connected with culture or history, or some topics that basically interest me more. Quite easily. Maybe I won't know 100% of vocabulary that is presented in certain articles, but I can still, you know, like look through the Naver and get like 90% of the meaning of the text that I've just read. But when it comes to popular science, I'm like kind of lost. Honestly, when it comes to topics that I'm not really familiar with, either in my native language or in the languages that I learn, I'm like, I already feel that my level at these topics is like below the one that I should have. And when it comes to the novels, I have to say that I'm kind of a little bit ashamed that during all these years I've only read like 3 novels at most, but I plan to change it definitely in the upcoming year. So another reason why I think my reading skills in Korean are only at B2 level is because basically when I try to read a novel and I read like 1 page or 2 pages, I realized that there is so much vocabulary that I basically don't know and I don't understand. And it's hard to understand even in the context. So that's why I would assess my reading skills as B2 in opposed to my listening skills. So now for my speaking skills in Korean, I would say I'm a very strong B2 level, and I would even dare say that I'm more close to C1 and being somewhere in the C1 span, but it's not like a very strong C1, it's rather very light C1, if you get what I mean. So the reason why I'm kind of hesitating about assessing my speaking skills in Korean is because I basically was at level C1 once, like probably about 3 years ago. And at that time, I was able to speak about more complicated topics using more advanced vocabulary. And I feel like 3 years ago, I was really kind of at the best level of my Korean ever. And I kind of want to go back to that level and surpass it if it's possible. So basically, if right now I had some normal conversation with Korean about various topics, I could basically speak freely and without huge problems with understanding or expressing my thoughts. But I wouldn't use a very complicated grammar structures, or I wouldn't use a very advanced vocabulary. Although I recognize that vocabulary most of the time, especially if I learned it, I will definitely recognize it. But when I speak to someone in Korean, I tend to use simpler grammar and simpler vocabulary than I've actually learned. And I basically think that that's the problem that a lot of language learners encounter on their way of learning language. That the way of expressing yourself in your target language is a bit lower than your actual knowledge in that language. So the last category to assess in Korean is writing, which is basically the weakest category for me in every language that I learn. And the main reason for that is that I don't really do any writing exercises in the languages that I learn, or I almost don't do writing exercises in the languages that I learn. So I assessed my writing skills as A2, considering the fact that I would have to write something from my head without any preparation, without checking any vocabulary, without checking dictionary or any grammar structures. You know, like basically if I had an exam right now and I would have to write something, I think it would be the most A2 level. But if I had a time for research and if I had a certain topic for essay that I have to write in Korean, and I could go and check some articles on that topic and kind of like maybe summarize a little bit of these articles plus input some of my thoughts into the whole essay thing. My writing would be probably at the level B2, and I know that because I've done it before, and I've done it at a C1 level, so basically that's how I know that if I'm given enough time and sufficient resources, that I can manage writing in Korean on a higher level and on a level that is kind of more matching with my actual abilities in Korean. But basically it's not an easy task for me, and I need quite a lot of time to do it. And you know, like since kind of a perfectionist in a lot of things. When I'm writing something, I want it to be like really polished and really nice, and that's why I don't really write in languages that I learn, because I know that I will never be able to reach the perfection that the natives have. So that's why I simply don't do it. It's not my favorite exercise, and like it's not my favorite part of learning the language. So basically, this is the end of my self-assessment in Korean, and I hope it was not too long for you, because I wanted to explain some reasons why I think that my language is like at this level and not at another one, because I believe that it may help you assess your own language level, and also maybe if you felt discouraged that you have different levels in terms of different language skills, it's normal. It's like perfectly normal, and I feel like we all have these issues, and I feel like there will always be areas in language learning that you will be better at, and the areas that you will be worse at. And what's important is to be joyful about your success and about your victories, and not about the setbacks, right? So since I've just made a self-assessment of my Korean level, I can basically move on to the goals, and that's probably what you're waiting for. So, for Korean listening, my goal for this year is to get from C1-ish level to a strong C1 or even C2. And what I plan to do to improve my listening skills in Korean is basically listening to more of the more complicated and ambitious stuff that I kind of have been neglecting for the past few years, and I like mostly watch dramas or some, let's say, more daily life stuff in Korean. So in the upcoming few months, I will definitely need to do some research in Korean on the small, complicated topics. Probably I will just watch some documentaries, like some news or something. But I don't really have a very specific plan for now, because I will just do it on the go. And basically, this is it for listening skills. For reading skills, I have two categories that I will be working on to reach a strong C1 level in Korean reading comprehension. The first category I will be working on is popular science, and the second one are novels. So for popular science, it will basically be highly connected with my listening exercises, and probably I will have some similar resources for both. It will be kind of difficult work, but definitely something that I need to focus on this year if I want to improve my Korean, and if I want to bring my Korean to another level. At first, I planned to read 2 novels in Korean per month. I just simply won't have time for this, and I don't want to set unrealistic goals, because if I set an unrealistic goals, my motivation will just kind of fall apart if I won't be able to achieve it. I just think that 1 book per month is quite reasonable and quite doable, even if it's in a foreign language. Especially considering that, as I said, I feel like my reading in Korean is at B2 level. So it's not like I completely cannot understand the novels in Korean. But it will take me more time to to kind of grasp the meaning and to actually learn from reading the novels and not only go through it and like done and everything, because like I plan to do some more active reading. So let's just see how it goes. I will update you on my progress in Korean, definitely. For my speaking skills, as I said, I'm somewhere around C1 and I want to make it a strong C1 and, if possible, bring my Korean speaking skills to C2 level. Basically, what I want to do is I want to be able to use the more complicated grammar structures and the more advanced vocabulary in my Korean conversations, and I basically hope that I can bring my Korean level as close to native's level as possible. And this is what I'm aiming for, and this is like my ultimate goal for Korean whatsoever, to be as good as a native speaker. And I know that my Korean still requires a lot of work, and it's sometimes not very easy to get through this, let's say, intermediate plateau. But I hope that I can do it, and that I hope that I can advance more in Korean and get Korean to the better level. And for my writing skills, as I said, my writing skills in Korean are the weakest skills that I have. I would like to bring them to somewhere around B2 level. But for now, I don't really want to focus on developing the writing skills in Korean, because I just think that when I read more literature and popular science articles, it will kind of come to me more naturally, and that it will become easier to just write something on a fairly good level in Korean, comparing to the level that I have right now. So I'm not gonna focus on writing for the next few months at all, probably. Maybe I will try to do some writing essay drills in Q4, but for now I just want to focus on improving on other skills in Korean. And basically this is all for my goals in Korean, but I just wanted to tell you that if you would like to see how I speak Korean, I will put a separate video just in Korean, so you can basically see for yourself where I'm at in Korean speaking or in Korean learning. I will definitely put a lot of videos connected with learning Korean throughout this year, and I probably will do a lot of them in Korean. So if you are interested in learning Korean, or you want to motivate yourself and come along on a Korean learning journey together with me, you know what to do. So that's it for Korean, and let's move on to the next target language.